power of speech, power of expression. So how do we express and how should we express? It should not be insinuating, it should not be insulting, it should not be discouraging. At the same time, it cannot be eulogizing also. Unnecessary flattery, unnecessary praise of the artist doesn't do good. So one has to be fair enough, very just, unbiased is the word, unprejudiced, and knowledgeable. When these two things are coupled, then the result will be really, as Kalidasa says, parinama ramaniya. The impact will be really ramaniya, whatever is expected. So criticism has to be that. And in our college also, in our exams, when we ask our students to write about an act in a play of Kalidasa or whosoever, we do not ask them to criticize. We ask them to write an essay critically appreciating the third act of Abhignana Shakuntalam or first act. Critical appreciation, that alone is healthy. So try to take whatever is best, whatever is good in the art that has been presented or that has been performed. Then, while writing the criticism, reviewing, you have to justify every statement of yours. If you are saying it was not good, say why it was not good. So it has to have the backbone of your learning. Then alone it carries weight. Then alone people will accept it. The learned will never accept something that has been said just offhand like that. Casual remarks will not help. That cannot be called a good review. At the most, it can be called a report. As I said, it should not be discouraging. One example I give and stop at that after giving the two shlokas, if I am permitted by the chair. Those two, I mean, it's very interesting to know how our old ancient thinkers, who were all experts in all fine arts, that is 64 arts, before they venture to compose a poem or poetry or a drama, very interesting to know how they viewed the art form. Particularly since I belong to the field of music, I have taken these two only from music, the shlokas. So, a 11-year-old girl performed an arangetram long back. And the criticism was so sour and so bitter that the girl stopped learning, stopped dancing. So, should this happen by our criticism? And in some other cases, it so happens that the performance is below average and the hype up is so much because it's a prejudiced and biased and bright. If a person first equips himself with all the necessary, essential knowledge pertaining to every dimension or aspect of that art, it will not happen. Automatically, the unbiased, what you call, approach shall be there. Once you are knowledgeable, you cannot be pleased by ordinary things. So your head sways and swings only when the sangati is good, when music is good. That you cannot make somebody cannot shake your head without that. So knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Nahi jnanena sadrasham, says. So, aho ragabaddha chittavrittir eva alikhita sarvato rangaha, says Kalidasa in the very first prastavana of his Abhignana Shakuntalam. Ragabaddha chittavrittihi. So our mind will be carried away. It is a temporary suspension of all our frets and worries and mundane indulgence, and we will be flying. That is the basic purpose of music or any fine art for that, initially, but it should not rest at that. So the question Madam raised in a very brief and subtle manner was, is it just entertainment, or is it education, or beyond that, is it elevation? So it is these 3 steps. To begin with, it is entertainment. It has to entertain. It has to attract. Then education, that is Upadesha. Sadyah Paranirvriti and Kanta Sammitataya Upadesha. So like a very, very beloved wife, any art, fine art, it instructs us like a wife, wedded wife. So she gets whatever she wants her husband to do for her in a way that he will not even realize that he is doing it for her. He thinks that he is doing it for his own sake. So that is the way beautiful art impresses us. So that is why Tavasmi Gita Ragena Harina Prasabham Hrataha Esha Rajeva Dushyanta Sarangena Tiramhasa. Just like this Dushyanta who is being carried away by the fleeing deer. I am carried away by your beautiful music, he says to the Nati. Music, first it has to carry us away, far, above. That is elevation there. So in the 𝐴 coming just, I take 2 minutes, that's all. One is, or I can take my time later also after they have spoken. Okay. Shall I? Okay. So in the 𝐴 second act, we have the performance of Malavika, which is reviewed by the judge-like Parivrajika. She's a Buddhist mendicant. She reviews it. Yathadrishtam sarvam anavadyam. She starts like this. As I perceive her dancing, it is flawless. Anavadyam. This comes from a Parivrajika who has got nothing to do with any ambitions or desires in this life. She is far above any attractions of this world. Okay? Angair antarnihita vachanaih Suchita samyagarthaha padanyaso layamanugatas tanmayatvam rasayeshu shakhayonir mruduruhu abhinayas tad vikalpanuvruttau bhavo bhavam nudati vishayat ragabandhassa eva. I will just read out the translation. It's very simple and beautiful. All was faultless as I perceived it, observed. For the meaning was well brought out by her limbs. This is dancing. Eloquent with expression. Every limb was so expressive. The placings of her feet were in perfect unison with time, that is laya. There was complete identification. This is what is most important for any artist. Total immersion or identifying oneself in the art, forgetting the world himself. If you do not enjoy your performance, your art, you can never give joy to the spectators or the audience. That is the first lesson that every performer and the reviewer also should notice and learn. There was complete identification with the sentiments conveyed. The acting made by means of movements of hands was gentle. We have ghana and naya. So in the laya part, one has to be ghana. And in the melody part, one has to be gentle. So both ghana and naya, they have to be blended in a perfect manner. So these are all guidelines for the reviewers also. So is it like this? Does she have this? Does he have this? So if we ask the question and get the answer in the positive, then it's really a good performance, no doubt about it. And that nairantarya, while the emotions flowed in succession, pushing one another. Bhavo bhavam nudati. Because it is not just one bhava. Sanchari bhavas are several, but the rasa is just the same. He says, from the mula, but the passion remained the same, he says. So, and I think I'll be taking more time. I will not quote the second one until and unless I have some time given at the end of the session. Manasollasakara, the 12th century king poet, king author of Abhilashitartha Chintamani, he says, how should be good music? What is good music? He gives us 14 forms of different types of music which are appealing to different sections of the society. As I said, it is subjective. So some people like this kind of music, some people like the other kind of music. But finally he says in the 15th shloka, Nirantara rasodaram, Nana bhava samanvitam, Shravyam, Hridyam, Anudvegakaram, Uttamam Geetam Uchyate. Most important is that Anudvegakaram. It should be exalting, not exciting. Nirantara rasa udara. It should be magnificent with that continuous flow of rasa. Nirantara rasodaram. But nana bhava samanvitam, checkered with several emotions passing. Shravyam should be melodious. Hridyam should be appealing to the heart. It should remain with you, not just pass through this ear out from the other. Hridyam anudvegakaram uttamam geetam uchyate. So if these things are taken care of, perhaps the performance will be good and the review will also be equally good. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Satyavati. That was a very scholarly account of explaining the qualities of the performance and of the critic who should acquire such basic things. While speaking of critic and their accomplishments, of course, Madam gave excellent citings from Kalidasa, and I have directed all these plays, so I'm really enjoyed all that. And I feel that the critic should be a real Sahridaya. First of all, the personal experience, the joy should be there, and also the artist. Their art should be like kshanekshané navatam upaiti tadeva rupam ramaniyate. That which assumes beauty every minute, that is good art. So the artist should also inspire the writer to write properly. In that context, let us go into some lighter notes, because all the qualities that she explained for critic, is it there today? First of all, the quality of critic. Our Dr. Radha Bhaskar is there. She is also a critic and who runs a very nice magazine, musicologist. The general scene of critiquing, many of her clan also are aware of. I just want to cite an episode on a lighter vein. I don't know if Jayashree, my contemporary from those days, remembers. We both danced in Sangeet Natak Academy's Yuva Festival, 1970, February 6th, at Sapru House. She was before me or after me, I don't remember. First was Mallika Sarabhai, next was me, and Jayashree and Subbalakshmi Baruwa, now Mrs. Amjad Ali Khan. From Kalakshetra, they both danced duo. The Varnam Emandayanara, 𝐴 𝐸𝐴. Why I am citing this is, we were all sitting in Dr. Kapilaji, my father, Indrani Rahman, they were all sitting there. And one very well-known popular critic who always used very lowly language about his equipments for writing a dance review. The composition referred to Sri Krishna Rajendra, the king, patron. Usually the Varnam addresses a patron king or the Lord deity as beloved. He wrote excellent performance by the duo addressing Lord Krishna. And of course, since he did not like Bala Saraswati, he wrote 2 nasty lines about me, just 2 lines of review of my good performance, which Kapilaji, everybody. So I was a youngster, fresher after my debut. Bala said, you should go and dance because you need that exposure. So next day newspaper, when I saw it, immediately I started crying. Those days, my father said, why are you crying? This man doesn't know anything. You read the next few lines. He addresses Sri Krishna instead of the king, who is the central theme of the Varnam. So that was one first experience. I never imagined that I would become a critic later times. But I followed most of the things that were cited by Madam. I was always considered a constructive reviewer because I belonged to a great legacy. Bala Saraswati, the impeccable, legendary Bharatanatyam exponent. So I had certain very strong conviction about my sampradayam. The moment came when this opportunity suddenly landed on me. I was in two minds whether to accept it because I was never used to writing or commenting about it. I did my performances. That's all I knew. But then I was kind of influenced and I had to write. My first review I wrote was Shiva Dhanur Bangam for Vempati Masters group production, which was well received. So I always used to think we must have two minds. One, because for me I was a performer. That is my conviction to follow my own principles. But when writing, as a Sahridaya, I felt something which I imbibed from my father. You look at every sampradayam with generosity. Everybody has one good quality, one good feature. The Banis may be different. I'm speaking of dance mainly. So you will find something good in every artist, even a young artist or even a not so good artist. They have put some efforts into it. So first highlight the good things. Stage presence, entry, exit, the orchestra, and the overall performance. Then you start saying what was lacking, and also in a very subtle language in order not to hurt the artist. And explain why you have said that. You stand by your statement. That's very important. Even for a very young performer, I always used to keep a point of view which I would stress where she could improve. So there are many aspects like this. I feel personally a critic. First of all, that word critic is a little irritating for artists, and then also it looks dangerous. When writers like Subudu came in, artists used to become nervous because they use such languages that some terms they could not, they have put some great efforts to appear on that platform, and somebody walks in and shatters their whole performance. So then I feel that the critic should basically a performer. When a short workshop was held in Krishna Gana Sabha long back, there was an argument whether the critic should be a performer or not. Nowadays there are critics who don't know anything. They don't know the raga, they don't know the tala. In dance writing, they don't know the sahitya, the composer, or how the sanchari develops. So by seeing, I know several art forms. That's not the point. Also about the term critiquing, I always thought, why not we say dance writing or music writing, something like that. From this point of view, I want Jayashree to speak about her experience. She has been a senior student of Kalakshetra and a very, very well-known teacher here. I want Jayashree to speak.
Good morning to everybody on the dais and also the guests. About critiquing, in Pondicherry, there is no critics here in Pondicherry. But as Madam said, I still cherish the Sangeet Nataka Academy reviews after our program. I still have it at home. It is nice. It is nice the way in which people absorb our dance. The dance or music, whatever it is, we have three aspects. One is we perform, others listen or see, and then they experience one ananda, happiness. This being a performing art, all the three are very, very essential. And once when the rapport is very good, automatically the dancer is expected to perform even better. And we don't have people to criticize, say this is bad, that is. I have read to my students every Friday, it is a project for us to read reviews for the sake of learning. I have seen expert being criticized very drastically. Oh, she was wearing a pink costume with Kanagamaram poo. Horrible aesthetics. So that hurts. I think you should not hurt. That person has no taste, never mind. She will learn it. But critics, it is nice way of learning how we have. The critics actually start from the learning. The teacher is a wonderful critic. Hey, very good, nanna pandra, do it again. And in a class, oh, do it and show for them. It is like Padma Shri award for them. Dance and show for the other children. So that helps. Positive motivation. And I say, first, you're the best. So you get the first mark for your Aramandi. Next, all of them sit so beautifully sit and dance. So these are the positive things criticizing, which helps the students to improve. Similarly, when you perform, when you have the positive criticizing, it helps us to evolve. We grow, and we have to dance. As Madam said, Sabha Lakshanam is there. People who is going to come and preside a program should know about music and dance. And if they come and see, look at this thing, and then they come and talk something, that is not needed. That is also bad. So we need good artists for Sabha Lakshanam, that is to be the chief guest, and Sahridaya spectators to accept, as Madam said, you might be having your own legacy, you might be having your own style, and you might be feeling that is the best. But when others dance, that definitely there is another one aspect which is going to be nice. So that should be marked, that should be pointed. And I think by criticizing, you cannot make one child from stop dancing. It should be encouraged. Or a 7 or 8, 9-year-old child, if she's going to dance, it should not be criticized in such a way that and the dance, they should not do it. So that way, I feel criticizing should be very positive. And unfortunately, we don't have any art critic in Pondicherry. We don't have any scope for sabhas. So we don't have any problem with.
So you're all very safe. No, coming back to Madam saying about this young girl doing Arangetram, my view is, Tamil சொல்றேன், அரங்கேற்றத்துக்கு review கூடாதுன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. Hinduல they never allowed reviews. அரங்கேற்றத்தில் என்ன இருக்கு review பண்ணுறதுக்கு? அந்த குழந்தை அப்போ தான் பாலசரஸ்வதி அம்மா சொல்லுவார், கற்றுக் கொடுத்ததை ஒழுங்காக பிடிச்சாலே போருமே, அதுக்கப்புறம் என்ன பண்ணணும்? குரு சொல்லி கொடுத்ததை தப்பு இல்லாமல் பண்ணி தாளம் தப்பாமல் ஆர்கெஸ்ட்ராவோட மேனேஜ் பண்ணின்னு. இப்போல்லாம் ஆர்கெஸ்ட்ராக்கெல்லாம் பயங்கர ரிஹர்சல் நடக்குது. எங்கள் நாள்லெல்லாம் அப்படி கிடையாது. அவவா கச்சேரியும் போது வந்து சேருவா, கொஞ்சம் ஜத்திகளை பார்த்துப்போம். அதுவும் பாலசரஸ்வதி ஸ்கூலில் எல்லாமே மனோதர்மம் ஜாஸ்தி. அதனால் அந்த ஒரு ஆர்ட் கிரிட்டிக்குங்கிறவா வந்து அரங்கேற்றத்தை பார்க்குறாளா இல்லை மெயின் பர்ஃபார்மர் பெரிய ஒரு வெட்டரன் டான்ஸரை பார்க்குறாளா அப்படிங்கிறது இல்லை. அவளுக்கு வந்து ஒரு ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் வச்சுட்டு அவள் எழுதணும். அரங்கேற்றம்னா எழுத மாட்டேன்னு சொல்லணும். ஏன்னா அந்த குழந்தை இப்போ தான் பிகினர். அரங்கு ஏற்றம்னாக்கா இன்றைக்கி தான் மேடை ஏறுறா, அப்போ அதுக்கு என்ன அவளுக்கு ரிவ்யூ? அங்கே அதெல்லாம் பண்ணுறதுங்கிறதே தப்பு முதல்ல. அதுக்கு இப்போ ஏகப்பட்ட பியர் ப்ரெஷரும் அந்த ப்ரெஷர் எல்லாம் இருக்குது. எல்லாத்துக்கும் சக்கம்பாகாமல் இருக்கணும். அந்த விகாரஹேதௌ சதி விக்ரியந்தே ஏஷாம் ந சேதாம்சி தயைவ தீராகான்னு சொல்லி எத்தனை கஷ்டங்கள் வந்தாலும் மனசை இதுக்கும் இடம் கொடுக்காமல் இருக்கிறதுக்கு ஒரு கிரிட்டிக்கு முதல்ல அந்த கட்ஸ் வேணும். ஏன்னா பெரிய பெரியவாள்லாம் சொல்லுவா, என்ன கூட ரொம்ப பெரிய ஆர்டிஸ்ட் இந்த பாருங்க என்னோடது பர்ஃபார்மன்ஸை பார்த்து எழுதுங்கோ அப்படின்னு சொன்னான். நான் மெட்ராஸ் சென்னை இதில் கூட சொன்னேன், நாட்டியத்தை பார்த்து தான் எழுத முடியும், பார்க்காம எழுத முடியுமான்னு கேட்டேன் நான். அது மாதிரி அதாவது எனக்கு வார்னிங் கொடுக்குறாளாம், ஒழுங்காக மரியாதையாக எழுது அப்படின்னு. அது மாதிரி இதுக்கெல்லாம் நம்ம அஞ்சின்னு இருக்கக்கூடாது. கோர்ஸ் நம்ம எல்லோரும் பர்ஃபார்மன்ஸ் ஓரியன்டாக இருக்கிறத லைவ் ஆர்டிஸ்ட் பற்றி பேசுகிறோம். பெரிய பப்பெட்டியர் மேடம் ஹேஸ் கம், அனுப்பமா. I want her opinion as to how she has received for her programs and how she reacts to other performances. Over to Anupama.
Namaskara. Namaskara. My salutations to all the elders and greetings to one and all. 𝐻𝐸𝐴ZADI ke Amrit Mahotsav, 75th year of independence is what we are celebrating today through this art critiquing workshop. I am very happy and grateful to Dr. Nandini Ramani's direction and to Dr. Jayashree's, aspect of how critiquing could be. And I'm saving the best for the last. And I resonate with Dr. T.S. Satyavati's words. What is this? See, I want to go back. I want to go back to what is Bharata, what is India. What we have today as a system of critiquing is what was given to us by the British. Let us get rid of it. Then what do? We don't know anything else. Dr. Satyavati talked about Malavikagnimitram, 2nd century, and we have done this in puppetry. We have chosen that particular shloka she recited, and it is done where Malavika is a dancer and the rest of the characters are puppets. I was in a state of ecstasy just reading this, studying this. Under Dr. Ganesh, I studied Malavikagnimitram, and then I said, oh my God, we were like this in 2nd century. Sophisticated arts, sophisticated music, sophisticated fine-tuned art, bereft of ego, full of tantra, because the whole story is about winning the heart of a maiden for which dance is a setup. We did not bother about the status of the physical status of anybody. We vibrated, we resonated as individual souls of energy, individual beings of knowledge. And today's critiquing henceforth should resonate this. And what is this? See, this is addressing the young people. Okay, I'm talking something from 2nd century. Read it, please. It's like, when I think about it, whether it's jewelry, painting, sculpture, everything is there. And it is talked about the beauty of it, the finesse of it, how it should be. What are we looking at? Why? The purpose of art, as Dr. Satyavati said, is to reach mindless state for a second, for half a second, or even a potential, as Dr. Nandini said, of a Arangetram student who has a potential to reach there, makes you realize where you should be as a human being. So we shed ego. See, the British system, the bureaucracy gave us evaluate, manipulate. No, that is not the Indian way of life. We have in Chidambaram the pillars where scholars, Patanjali started and presented his work. It was critiquing. He had to submit his work to scholars and say, okay, do I get your approval? And Naya Shastra Kartubhya Namostu says Vishnu Sharman in Panchatantra. Naya Shastra, new is always part of Indian life. New things is always part of us. And we take it in a stride within the chaukat of our traditions. Now, tradition, folk, classical, these are all words. We shall leave it aside for a time. Now, in 5 minutes, the time given, what do I look at? I want to be a critic. I'm a young person. I can learn. I have good teachers. I have the YouTube. I have PDFs. All the Sanskrit PDFs are there. Teachers are available to you everywhere. You can do online classes today. So, okay, you have all these advantages. First, I can do as a puppeteer, I can do 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐼𝐭 I can do 𝐒𝐵𝐵𝐺𝐻 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐺𝐻 Act 4. I have done Bhaskaracharya's लीलावती. I have done Prahlada, Ashtavakra. I realized, see, Lalitakala, they gave me 𝐾𝐾 Hebbar Silapadikaram and said, they just gave me his line, line drawings which are exquisite and said, do it in puppetry. How did this happen? Because we have one text, Natya Shastra. See, all people who want to become critics get coaching in Natya Shastra. It is not difficult. 36 chapters, learn it. Then what? I want to be a critic. See, everywhere there are books available to you. Books tell you 4 pillars are there. What is that? Everybody talks about rasa, no? Eat a mango, taste the fruit. You want to go back to it. Bad fruit means you don't want that. So, we have good taste, we want to return. Art performance has good taste, we want to return. Any art, sculpture, painting, music. So, we want to return. So, we want to establish the degree of point of return of this artist or the scope for the artist to develop, which will be rasa. Then how do we build this up? The intellect, the intelligence, right? The eyes, it's a visual art. The ears, sense organs are there. Sense organs are connecting to where? The brain connects to the soul. And so, they have different words. I'll just mention it because students are watching this. Students are hearing this. They want to learn. So, we have dhvani. One line comes, 25 lines of abhinaya happens. One line comes in puppet show, so much action is happening. Then there is auchitya. See, nowadays, we are seeing, I hope the contemporary puppet show which is there tonight is keeping the auchitya. Rama is favorite for people who don't know auchitya. They will take Sri Ramachandra and portray him as if he is a weak person who doesn't know anything, who is not capable of anything, and they will make Sita is great. But Rama is also great. Where does this come? Where does this non-auchitya comes when there is no knowledge of the person who is representing it? Did you read the Ramayana? Do you know the Natya Shastra? Do you know what this is? Okay. And then there is poetics, Kavya, which she talked about, Dr. Saraswati, which is our core of visual representation. Whether it is sculpture, whether it is dance, whether it is puppetry or theatre, we take from this the beauty of life. Why? Ananda is the swarupa of Atman. We want to revel there. The purpose of art is to reach that, get a glimpse of what is Ananda. So go to Brahmananda. Purushartha is there. Why are we there? Purpose of life. We have a very defined scientific way of life in India, and all the performing arts we do is towards this. So we have rasa, dhvani, vakrokti. Vakrokti is all the binding beautiful elements. Maybe stage prop, maybe the words in between, maybe your sanchari, maybe the puppet, like they told us when we did 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐼𝐭 they said many things in the theatre could not be shown because they are human limitations. All those elements we could bring into the puppet theatre. But that is there is also something called dhvani, which is the essence of the art. Now, a critic has to see, like Dr. Nandini Ramani said, she was doing something and they were talking something else. So, that's really, by Indian standard, the word is stupid. Right? Just because you are, so first we have to shoot down the ego. Be rich, be poor, be famous, not famous. It doesn't matter because you are above all of this. So this is the murky land. We don't want this. This is 75 years of independence. So the whole new start has to be just get rid of all that. Get rid of nonsense which we have learned in the past 75 years. Go back to Kalidasa. One shloka is enough. Fantastic, Dr. Satyavati, for bringing this in. That one shloka, I know because I did a study of it and brought it into the puppet theatre. If you analyze, you say, okay, now where do I get this? Natyashastra. Where do I learn Natyashastra? Google. Has it. Use it. And I'm not kidding you. Beautiful, young scholars are teaching every day. So, what is your yardstick? These 4 pillars. Rasa, Dhvani, Auchitya, Vakrokti. Okay. So, these are my yardsticks. Then, if I am not a performing artist, if I'm a scholar, see, scholars usually have 1 inch up in the air. A successful artist also do. Jnana gives you ahankara. So, that poor Arangetram girl who stopped her career is because of this ahankara of the jnana. So, please shed ahankara every day. How? Look at Hanuman, how he's sitting in front of Rama. Hanuman has all the knowledge possible. He is like that, and this gives you eternal success. See, we are talking about sustenance of buildings, sustenance of weather. Art is sustained. 2nd century, you see it is there, given. So we all